Welcome to the Growth Engine, where we explore the intersections of marketing, technology, and leadership within the financial services sector. Today, we're thrilled to have Lauren Berkemeyer, Chief Marketing Officer at YuLife, join us. Lauren leads a trailblazing team at YuLife, a tech-driven insurance company that innovatively integrates gamification and behavioural science to promote healthy living and transform financial products for good. With a career that started on Broadway, Lauren quickly found her calling in marketing, driving growth through innovative campaigns from Fortune magazine's global conferences to global advertising for the Wall Street Journal. At YuLife, she's built a high-performance marketing team from the ground up, fueling growth through data-driven strategies and creative storytelling. Join us as Lauren shares her journey and insights into building a marketing engine that drives substantial commercial impact. Thank you for coming down and joining us today. Lauren, you've had a very interesting career journey today. Can you sort of take us back and tell us what's led to your journey that you've been on, which just led you to YuLife?
So I think early on, I learned fundamental principles from my parents of entrepreneurialism, and they're both entrepreneurs, started their own businesses in architecture and design.
Right.
And I'd always had a bit of, I think, growing up naturally, our dinner table talks was less about how was your day, and it was more about business ideas. And, even at a young age, I think they really valued my opinion, and it probably gave me the confidence to think a bit differently about my career path. Um, Always wanted to, from just small little projects as a kid of like selling jewelry to just thinking about, when you're in university, what do you want to do in a summer? I always was kind of looking for the unconventional. And I think probably one of the most unconventional jobs that I had that I still talk about to this day, and I don't even think I mentioned it to you when we first met, was selling Yellow Page ads door to door.
Wow,
And
that's a tough gig.
and this is in college. For the younger audience out there, yeah, I don't even think Yellow Pages exist anymore.
No, I
But
don't think they do.
um,
They
there
were
were,
heavy.
but I think what it was interesting is there was a company called University Directories, and they took up 300 college students and put them across 90 different universities and gave you a territory, and you were given the task of selling ads within these Yellow Pages. And your target audience were your work students. And essentially, if you drove more visibility of your business within the Yellow Pages, the idea is you get more sales, and that's great. And it was it was a total boot camp. We all went to UNC Chapel Hill. I was based in Northwestern University, which is a college in Chicago, for the summer. And we got trained for 2 weeks in methodology of selling. And I had a briefcase and I had all new territory. And I learned early on that new business, and I didn't turn in to be a salesperson, which I could have done. But the way that it was full commission. And if you got new business, you got 20% commission. And if you got renewal business, you got 10% commission. And we picked out of a hat, literally, our territories. And the territory I got was the brand new, never been touched territory. And early on, I figured out, and I think I applied this to my marketing. I approached it as building a community. And so I figured out that the pocket of which I was attacking for Yellow Page ads was a small little community called Wilmette, which was a couple miles outside of Northwestern University. And I befriended the president of the Chamber of Commerce, and I got to know this whole network within this community. And then I was drawing ads and, getting Howie, the pizza guy, to buy an ad. And I think that rigor of that challenge really kind of inspired me a little bit on this like marketing journey. But this was at like a very young age.
Yeah, it's
Um,
incredible.
Learned, and every journey along the way, you pick up, little tips, and you evolve and you build off of that. Um, and so, had this very entrepreneurial experience. And I think I then thought that this sort of the values and the way and approaching the job market out of school was going to be like as a bit not I would take it as a challenge, but I wouldn't do it in the conventional way.
Right, right.
And this has brought me to Broadway. And I remember there was a moment, and I had a couple stints of internships at Time Inc. and another job I was at InStyle magazine as an intern. And after kind of the Yellow Pages and then doing a traditional internship, I was at the breakfast table where we always had our business ideas with my parents, looking at the time, they would get a subscription to the New York Times.
Right.
And the New York Times, actually, people, this is 2002. When did I go? 2002. They used to look at the New York Times classified ads to find jobs. When I say they, I don't know if that's everyone. I think a lot of college grads rely on like, recommendations from their parents,
Of
or,
course.
at the time there was really no LinkedIn
No.
to find. So you almost had to hunt.
Yeah.
And I saw this job in the classified section that said, co-producer of a comedy variety show, startup. And I was like, you know what? I know how to run events. This sounds cool. And there was a marketing angle to it. And it took me on this very wild journey of helping a producer build a very Circus Soleil style show from the ground up at a
Wow.
very young age of 20. Old were you when you graduated? 21,
Yeah.
22.
Yeah.
So much so we raised investment. I had an office overlooking Times Square. I mean, it was a very surreal, very rigorous experience. And I think
Okay.
the adrenaline, and I say this even, and I think I even, when I've done bios, I say adrenaline. There's so much adrenaline from event production. And when every week you're in charge of packing a house of 1,000 people and inspiring that experience at scale, and how do you do that? And also, like, I tapped into a lot of my community development and bringing on interns and universities, and how do you actually, use others to help drive your awareness, and just taught me so many valuable skills, including a deep respect and appreciation for the entertainment industry. But also, one that actually sparked, I think, a lot of, it was a crash course. It was a crash MBA course, that experience.
I love the
Yeah.
fact that you talk about adrenaline. My one of my first jobs, I was a worked in a live sports studio, and the
Yeah.
feeling of adrenaline when you go live on air and when you come off air at the end of a show, you're just you've got it coursing through you.
Yeah.
So it's exactly the same thing that you're describing with
Yeah.
live events.
And it's just that, you have that feeling. It was every Saturday, and you're prepping, and you're like, you know that you've worked so hard. And then it's like a cycle, and then you can improve it. And you talk about continuous improvement, but with entertainment, or television, it's happening at such a rapid pace,
Yeah.
that actually what it does is it kind of stints your perspective of reality, because all of a sudden you're like, everything needs to happen this fast,
Yes.
which, the world definitely doesn't happen as fast as that. So,
No, no. So
yeah.
what after Broadway, and like
Yeah.
where did your path lead you next?
So then I thought, I took a step back and I said, okay, I really like this events thing. And I did a stint at Fortune magazine, and because I'd built like kind of good, strong network within Time Inc. And then I realized quite quickly that I didn't love, um, feeling restricted in a role. So I think
Right.
sometimes when you're young, and this is just, when you're young and you're ambitious and you've had experiences of like selling door to door quite well, and then you're at, packing a house of 1,000 people, and the adrenaline of that Broadway, you're a bit, your expectations are maybe a bit unrealistic, or at least your expectation of what a job should be at 24, 23 is different than the reality of what most people have as a job at that age.
Yeah.
So I think what I realized is that I love startup environments. I did about a year at Fortune. I did learn a lot, but then I actually found a new startup magazine that was a design magazine,
Okay.
where I started working for the CEO there. Had an incredible experience of building that, with a small team from the ground up. An interior design magazine. It was a passion of mine because that's the business that my parents were in.
Right. Right.
But I also could apply media experience and marketing, and had a really good experience there. Learned a lot about culture. Learned a lot about the importance of just, working as a team, and helping to build something with an incredible CEO as the leader.
Was this the first
Yeah.
time that you had built your own team?
That was the first time. So that was early. Well, I would say with the comedy variety show, I built a team. I built a network.
Okay.
So I built a community.
Yeah.
To were passionate about entertainment too, but
Right.
had less employees working for me, so
Yes.
to
Okay.
speak.
Okay.
So I would say, with Western Interiors and Design, that was more of a new startup, very flat. We were all kind of in it together.
Mm.
Um, Very few people, and then, spent some time there, and then went, on a new adventure, which was an incredible experience, to Metro.
Right.
So at the time, Metro, which you're familiar with as the daily newspaper here
Yes.
in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
UK,
Absolutely.
Exists in over 20 countries. Quite a challenger brand.
Right.
So essentially, Metro was the first brand built out of Sweden. I don't know if you knew that, in
I didn't. No.
1996, as a way to really reach the hard to reach, which were the metropolitans at the
Okay.
time. There's no Instagram, there's no Facebook.
Yeah.
And so by creating a snackable daily newspaper that gave you everything you needed in a 20-minute read for free
On your commute.
on your commute,
Yeah.
in an environment where you don't have mobile phones that you're reading everything, so you have a concentrated environment. This is like, as someone who runs an agency,
You've got an
that this
engaged audience.
is like,
Yeah.
liquid gold. And so that business model then grew, and I had the opportunity to run the marketing across the US and grow that,
Wow.
which was a lot of fun,
Wow.
because you're not only working and building, a B2B marketing engine with, great advertising programs and doing a lot of activations across the cities, which I loved, but you're actually collaborating with a wider international network. So across these 19, 20 countries, you have marketing leaders who are sharing ideas, and actually very intuitively, Metro Global headquarters, based in Sweden and London, actually dual,
Right.
proactively got the marketing leaders together every year,
Wow.
so that you could learn and share ideas. So I learned a lot of, there's a lot of good layers of stories from that experience, but I think at a young age, we were also, late 20s, with quite a lot of autonomy and freedom to test boundaries, take risks. And, I think that really gave me that kind of creative edge as it relates, and really guerrilla. I talk a lot with my team about guerrilla marketing. It doesn't exist as much as in that terminology,
No.
but to me, guerrilla marketing is all about being very resourceful with what you have and thinking differently than maybe what on a channel.
Mm-mm.
So thinking about like the bigger picture of how do you actually grow what you're doing, and I've applied a lot of those principles to YuLife to really kind of build a brand and build a movement that has so much more than just the channel that you're using
Yeah.
to communicate that message.
That's interesting. I was having a conversation yesterday and used the term guerrilla marketing. I haven't used it for
Had
a
you said
while.
it yesterday?
And yeah, literally
yeah.
yesterday to
Yeah.
a guy who's running a local radio station,
Yeah.
bizarrely. And I can see how that kind of it's a sort of challenger, entrepreneurial, having to think on your feet and different. That's probably
Yeah, and I just remember, like, I would do these activations with Metro in New York where it was really hard to get into Fashion Week without spending like millions to sponsor. Mercedes-Benz always sponsors it. Yeah.
right.
And I was like, why don't I just hire a bunch of models? Yeah, we'll get a fashion brand to sponsor it, and we'll just exist around the entire perimeter of Fashion Week.
Yeah.
And what we'll do is we'll have a Kenneth Cole cover wrap
Yeah.
Metro. Yeah, because it's a walking billboard. And what you do is you generate the ad dollars from that, but you
Yes.
create that is guerrilla.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's,
Absolutely.
but that can also exist. I was at a conference yesterday, a big HR innovation conference called Unleash in Paris. And I was totally guerrilla marketing that. Like myself, I'm there hustling. I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
in different ways conveying the message of YuLife. And
Yeah.
it's just,
Yeah. Another tactic.
it's quite gritty. But yeah.
So after Metro, what was
Yeah.
next?
So Metro, so I had a life change, I guess, where my partner who I met in New York was transferred back to London.
Right.
And there was a moment of a sliding door moment of, do I stay in New York? I had a very fun life, friends, family, or do I think about a new chapter in the UK? So he was transferred back with the bank he was working for. I subsequently, as you do, put feelers out passively.
Had you been to the UK
Um,
before?
I studied abroad
Okay.
here
Right.
in
Right.
university.
Right.
So I had spent 6 months, but,
Yeah.
and I had then at that time Mark and I had been together 6 years. So I guess I had the experience of 6 months studying abroad plus a
Yeah.
6-year relationship.
Right.
And so was essentially thinking, okay, do I make this move? Met, as you do, friend of a friend contact says to me, oh, you're thinking about London. Well, you really need to speak to the MD of Dow Jones and the Wall Street Journal, because he keeps talking to me. He was a friend of this woman. He keeps talking to me about how the Wall Street Journal needs marketing leadership.
Right.
And I was like, oh, sounds cool. It's a brand, but, and I kind of, it's a big brand and it's an established legacy brand, but I was intrigued by this idea of like helping build the Wall Street Journal outside of its home turf.
Yeah.
So that felt what you say nowadays entrepreneurial,
Mm,
where you're still in a bigger infrastructure and that you can leverage, but
yeah.
pave your own path.
Yeah.
So Andrew Langoff, incredible MD, sponsor of mine, and we met, and I remember not really knowing what the job could be, and went home and I wrote my own job description
Right.
of what I felt without knowing much, without knowing there's, the journal actually has quite a substantial business outside of the US,
Right.
but I'm looking at it from the lens of, how would I approach this blank
Mm,
canvas?
mm.
And that sort of guided a discussion and ultimately a sponsorship of a new role, which got me to the UK,
Right.
and took me on a journal with the Wall Street Journal, and News Corp, which was a fantastic journey for, close to 5 years.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So after that, we're moving,
I
getting
know
closer.
this is a bit of like my
No,
timeline
it's
to the
fascinating.
today.
I mean, this is
We might need a couple hours now.
yeah. No, we're here. We're here.
Yeah.
How do we go from Wall Street Journal to
Yeah.
YuLife? And there's a key step in between.
A couple things happen when you sort of, you land in an industry that at one point was probably the coolest industry in the world, which is publishing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I even remember like when I did one summer at InStyle magazine, and it was just everyone thought it was the coolest job. And I'm like, no one cared what you did. It was just like, that is so cool. It's not Wall Street Journal. That's so cool. But the reality is these are I was feeling like the media industry, like there was a cap for me.
Right.
So,
Well, and why? Why is that?
I think because, naturally print was, not growing, the print. So so the magazine and print industry had been declining. Yeah. I was pivoting a bit to more digital content and digital subscriptions and digital growth. But I was feeling like, okay, there was like, it was time. It was time to sort of try something new and be challenged by something new. And I was like, what is this? What is this something new? We all go through this.
As I learn about you, and I'm thinking, was the cap because of the adrenaline? And it's kind of like, okay, I'm not sure
I
if this
think,
is getting enough for me anymore. I'm looking for something else.
yeah. And I think also like, even, with the Wall Street Journal, my role changed every year. And I mean, with the time that I was there, there were 4 CEOs. I mean, it's quite interesting. Like, I, if you talk to like my friends and even the founders now at YuLife, I do love a bit of variety
All right.
in a measured way, but, and unpredictability. And I think that really drives me to startups being my space,
Yeah.
startups, scale ups, grow ups. And I think I just recognized that this time in media, I had embraced it as my own entrepreneurial journey in my own approach, which
Yeah.
did well at that, but then thought, okay, maybe I actually want to do something that's properly entrepreneurial. So then
Yeah.
I went on a journey. If I start, we all go on these moments of, what kind of business do you want to start? Now, while I was having this sort of debate in my head a little bit, percolating the ideas of the future, baby number one. So
Right.
what happens with baby number one is you're like, man, I've been in, and I'm going to say New York's quite a rat race. But when I say rat race, I mean, you've been working your butt off,
Yeah.
um, growing your career, proving yourself, et cetera. And then you're like, whoa, I have a year, like I have a year off. What the heck am I going to do? And this is empowering because I mean, not only there's so much, I embraced it in the sense I found every single possible like activity you could do with a child when
Bet you did,
when
yeah.
you're off, and, really use the time to build great new friendships, et cetera. But it also gives you that opportunity to have a
To
think.
think, yeah.
I'd always been very, very interested in, I mean, I'd been an athlete growing up, very interested in wellness, um, passionate about health. And I, took that kind of passion and I then channeled that for a bit to become certified as a health coach. I did personal training certification. So I did this when my daughter, Catherine, was like well, when I say a little bit older, it might have been 8 months old.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So kind of pursued these other avenues, and then, was coming back from maternity leave, and decided, okay, I'm gonna go a bit high. I'm gonna do a bit of a hybrid. I'm gonna stay because I met this incredible woman who at the time was a CEO of Future,
Right.
Zilla. And I was like, this one, I mean, I'm like, I was gonna get out of media, but this could be really quite a great experience because
Yeah.
also a lot of intuitively I need to feel not only as a marketer, you need to be passionate about the product you're
Yeah.
gonna work for, but you need to deeply believe in the values and the approach of the leader at the
Yeah.
top, or else it's just not going to be fun.
No.
Um, so I met Zilla, and then I thought, okay, I had a really good shorter time, a short time with Zilla, not expecting it to be a short, but then baby number two came as this goes, and with that, I really thought, okay, what is going to be the next? What's going to be the next move?
Yeah.
During this time, which I forgot to mention, I did spend over 14 hours with a career coach because I wanted to
Right.
essentially work on and this is, I took it as I think with anything, you get out of an experience what you give. So I
Yeah.
took it quite seriously and I did my homework
Yeah. Yeah.
and I really needed to figure out how do you package up your skills and capabilities in a way that you're not just the publishing person marketer. You're not so because that's, it's very easy for, time to News Corp to reach out to me or Telegraph,
Yeah.
etc. So this is very like for like.
Also, almost not stereotyping yourself in a
Yeah,
way.
like how do you
Yeah.
do that?
Yeah.
What's interesting that career coaches can do, from a extent or a friend really, or your dad or what, whoever is your mentor, is look at you from the outsider perspective and actually put threads together that you didn't know you had.
Yeah.
So things like Metro being bought by a private equity company. I had not had PE experience, so I didn't know that was an actual thing that I could talk about. I was looking at my experiences like changing the way advertising was packaged and sold in a quite disruptive medium, but not thinking going through an acquisition, which we did,
Yeah.
and then building up and how do you then transition the culture and the strategic approach of that business. So I think there was a lot I learned from that career coaching to really package myself up and think about. The other thing I learned, which is quite interesting, and I think it also got Jamie True, who I'll talk about, to take a chance on me, was public advertising was um, some of the hardest thing in the world to sell. Like advertising is very hard. Is very hard. It's not. It's gritty,
Yeah.
and you have to be very resourceful, even as a marketeer. You don't have big budgets. The margins are quite slim. And so it's a real hustle,
Yeah.
advertising. Publish irrespective, and I'm speaking about it from a publishing perspective. Throughout my time working in this industry, I was figured out how to be so resourceful with budget. And whether that was like even at Metro, I bartered. I traded all our parties for ads. I did all of our Christmas presents. I did loads of activations, leveraging the reach of Metro, and so I hardly spent any money,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
got incredible reach.
Mm.
And so I think ultimately those elements, that it wasn't just about did you work in this sector, but it was actually how did you approach a sector that is challenging, that you need to innovate and think about different ways to actually drive that visibility and strength, rely on creativity to package things up in a way that hasn't necessarily been done before. So a lot of those learnings, being in media, then triggered, and I think I happenstance came across a business called LifeWorks when I was thinking about, what was my next move going to be. And I met Jamie True, who's serial entrepreneur CEO, and he was building this business, which was a mental health disruptor in the employee benefit space.
Right.
He had built apps. He had built very successful companies before based on consumer app technology, big retail bank apps, et cetera. Had been a proven entrepreneur. And really had this mission to now, use his talent as a force for good and really drive change with how mental health was delivered and how employees are supported by their employers. Early days, 2016. Yeah, now it's, a lot more popular. And he saw the grittiness of my background
Right.
and was like, this woman is going to hustle.
She can make
And
stuff
yeah,
happen.
and she can make stuff happen. And I also think, a lot of marketeers, if you're commercial, it's so critical in B2B marketing. I mean, any marketing, that you understand how that business grows,
Yeah.
and you understand the levers to drive that growth in collaboration with sales. But it is very much equal parity when I talk about like sales and marketing and that dynamic. So I think he loved the hustle, and he said, this, she can really like help me drive this business. And we went on a really, very meaningful journey. Great team in the UK, ended up overseeing, a whole global team with LifeWorks. It was all about, employee duty of care, but also how do you actually deploy innovation and technology in a way that helps people, and engages with people, and really, gives them the support they need when they need it most, but also, is there support along the way. So a lot of learnings from that journey too.
It's really interesting hearing you talk about what he recognized in you, and
Mm,
saw that here's a lady that can hustle, but how you describe it, about how your understanding of how business makes money and the role of marketing. Nowadays, people perhaps refer to that as a chief revenue officer.
yeah,
And yeah, I think in many places within financial services marketing, the roles of marketing and sales
yeah,
are still very split.
yeah.
And there's often not an appreciation of one or the other. You don't subscribe to that mentality at all, do you?
No,
It seems that you feel actually the responsibility of marketing is sales as well.
yeah. I
And I
do.
think
Yeah,
that's
I
very
do.
distinct.
Yeah, I genuinely do.
Yeah,
I think it takes time, when you go into organizations, and sales leaders aren't used to that.
yeah,
It takes time to educate them.
sure,
And the way you do it is you prove.
yeah,
And you get in, because I think you also like, you can flex different muscles. You could sell, you could get on the field and sell. I feel like I've just spent the last 48 hours, selling
yeah, yeah,
at
of
this
course, yeah,
conference. But so much of it is conditioning, and so much of it is legacy, and how you operated in your career. So I operated over a substantial amount of time with that mentality,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
where, I was a real business. I have always been a very strong business partner to sales,
Mm,
and also not been, and I was actually talking to my team about this, where sometimes you can look at like marketing can be a bit of an add-on, where I've had it very much foundational to the growth of the business.
yeah,
And when there is not an understanding of that, that's where you need to be very clear how, what metrics matter, how you're representing the story, because it's as much. I mean, there's also like, I've always found it's quite important to build the story of your impact internally.
yes.
Like,
Otherwise, it could be seen as just too fluffy.
yeah, because you know what, people decide to remember what they feel that they contributed to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And the story is always biased, right? So I think it's up to marketeers to help that narrative, and to help bring that connection and that commercial connection to that organization, or else it's not intuitive for
no.
people. It will be more behind the scenes.
You can trace this thread back to your kitchen table when you're having these
Yeah.
discussions with your mother and father, talking about business ideas, from about the sense of commerciality with
Yeah.
and that you can trace that thread all the way back. I'm keen to get onto you, Life,
Yeah, I know. We'll
but
get there. We'll get
I
there.
don't want to let this story lie either.
Yeah. Yeah.
What happened with LifeWorks? What was the journey that you went on? You
Yeah.
uh
I mean, that was like an accelerant. I mean, this was my first experience of a company acquiring Metro. There was a PE house that it took over, but that's very
yeah,
different than a company acquiring
yeah,
LifeWorks. And I would say, so we had a rapid growth journey, and then we were developing quite a strong reputation, as being forward thinking from a tech and innovation perspective. And we got the attention of a traditional HR tech company in
right,
Canada
right,
called Morneau Chappelle.
right.
which took me a while to pronounce properly.
I'm not even going to attempt it.
Based in Toronto. Probably one of the leading HR techs. So when I say HR tech, so they had an established employee assistance program. They had an absent management capability, very much embedded into the Canadian market and the North American market, but not at high scale.
Right.
Some global reach as well. And they caught on to LifeWorks and reached out to the CEO, reached out to Jamie, and for first date letter, or however you want to, or should we go into marriage? And went on this journey of a real, which I was a part of, about a 6-month. Let's get to know each other. How could these businesses work together? At the time, LifeWorks had about 7,000 customers. This was across the globe. Products were very complementary. Morna Chappelle was looking for the tech to enable the services that they were delivering, and that fit really nicely into their strategic objectives. So I think what was really, enlightening about that was not only like product complementary fit, and I think also very complementary customer base. So real value in terms of getting those additional customers on board. But it was very critical from the beginning that that Morna Chappelle and Stephen Liptrap, who was acquiring LifeWorks, that the values were aligned.
Yeah.
That he felt like we spent a lot of time with their team to make sure that we felt that we wanted to work together and build something very purpose-driven and build something amazing together.
So when the dating letter arrived,
first date, the first date.
What was your role between the CEO and I'm interested from a marketer's perspective. What did you then, from the moment it's like, oh, okay, the sale could be on the cards here.
Yeah.
What did you then do to presumably we get to an exit point?
Yeah, I mean, naturally, like I would say, in some ways I'm chief packaging officer, right? So how are you packaging up this whole proposition and this whole business in a way that is making it as enticing as it can be?
Yeah.
So I would say there were two things happening, is that I played a very large role in the positioning and the structure of the story of LifeWorks.
Okay.
The growth story, what we built, because you have to also think it's not just about the product, it's about the growth engine that fuels that product. So we had driven new demand in the market that had never been seen before, because a lot of traditional, and this goes for insurance, businesses, they're steady Eddie and they're good, great businesses, but they're growing at a very slow rate. So a lot of, I think there was a lot of enticing energy about the fact that LifeWorks could help accelerate the growth of this traditional business. So I think there was a positioning around that I was involved with, early on. And then also a very much a relationship building. I mean, this is in terms of, spending time, going to the dinners, getting to know each other, meeting with the banks, through the due diligence, being able to quantify and qualify the capabilities that we had built to make this more than just an app. To make this really about business transformation. And that, I mean, when you go through these journeys from first date and beyond, then it's all about, building blocks of confidence that actually this product's going to help bring this other business into the future. And that's what that's what we're selling the dream.
Really. And you're selling at that point
again, or marketing the dream. Interchangeable
words. Did you enjoy that process?
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun. Yeah. Any marketeer loves to I think bring a bit of new energy and new perspective into an environment. And I love that we could infuse this new capability and be underdogs in its own right. I mean, and when I say underdogs, this is a company that at the time had grown to about 500 people. Morna Chappelle was 6,000. So this is quite.
Yeah.
And for me, it's quite exhilarating to be able to see, wonderful people with an incredible foundational business identify that, there's more out there, and that we can help guide them into a new frontier and lead by example and show the way in a new way. And that's always quite exciting.
Absolutely.
I would say.
What then led you to
So then we're at YuLife.
Yeah.
So I would say once the acquisition happened, and, naturally, I think when you figure out where your sweet spot is through time, that's experience. because you really don't know. I mean, I feel like I had been in a constant experiment for many years, a little bit. Um, but really had recognized that the most joy and the most fun that I had was building
Yeah.
from the ground up. And so I felt like I had really achieved that at LifeWorks, and now it was what's the next step? And I think when I was having this
Was there a break in time between the two?
no,
No. Okay.
I mean break for Christmas.
Right. It's
No, this is there
yeah.
was not. There was not. I also went, yeah, I wanted also the transition to be smooth, because I also think when you help build something and you're quite passionate about it, it's you want to leave it. You want to
Yeah.
leave in good standing, and you want your legacy to transition, well, and in the way that you feel like it deserves.
Mm.
But with anything, I mean, I think sometimes you just, you have these sort of thinkings about, am I ready for something new? Am I ready for the next chance? And Sammy, our CEO, talks a lot about serendipity. And there was a moment where I found in my pocket a business card.
Right.
And people don't even use it. This is so random. And I don't even know why it was in my pocket. But I was like going to put my jeans in the laundry, and I'm like, what is this? And it says YuLife. And I remembered, I was like, I remember this guy that I met called Jonathan at this conference, and he was really, this little tiny booth. And there was a giraffe, and it was colorful, and he was just a great guy. And then I think it's the same day I saw a post on LinkedIn, because you recognize something and then you see it again, and it's,
Power of branding.
oh, power brand. We love it. Yeah, all roads point to YuLife. And so I reached out to Jonathan and I just said, I'd love, and this is pretty much all of my jobs I've gotten through cold outreach,
Right.
just reaching out directly,
Yeah. Yeah.
and said,
Straight to the CEO.
Tracy, I said, I'd love, you have to build some, like, not when I was 23, but once,
No.
once you do have a little bit more cred, I think that is a good,
Yeah.
love what you're doing, want to learn more, let's get a coffee.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like, you got to come in and meet our CEO. Like,
Right.
so I met Sammy, and I think I spent a lot of time, a lot of time in what we call the universe,
Mm.
which is YuLife's office on Old Street. And I think I just really, I was like, man, these guys are on to something. They don't really know what they haven't found full product market fit. There isn't marketing yet,
Right.
but this is a
How
great
big's the
product.
team at this point?
23.
Right.
Total business is 215, but my marketing team is 23.
Right. No, sorry, I meant how big was the team when you
Oh, 25?
right, in total.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
No, Mar. There was someone writing it. It was a bit of like mishmash, like someone writing a bit of content. So, it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
finding their way.
Yeah.
But incredible piece of tech. So one of the things that the industry, you have to think about, like, when you're going to jump onto a ship, a new ship, that you haven't, or get to a destination you haven't been on before, you need to really think about, does the product work? Does the product work, and does it solve a need that isn't met today?
Yeah.
And what LifeWorks, the need that it solved that isn't met today, is that employee assistance programs, which is mental health support in businesses, many people don't know this, 2% utilization.
Right.
And that is the way the industry has been formed. It's the way it's been priced. So but very few people engage with these services. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Similarly, so essentially technology has a role to play in
Right. I
getting
see.
people help,
Yeah.
support. Similarly, the insurance industry, group insurance benefits, where we're playing, the field that we're on is, or the universe that we're in is group life insurance, group income protection, group health insurance. These are what you would call duty of care benefits
Okay.
for employees. They have very little, especially where we started in life, brand affinity.
Right.
It is a product that is bought and not engaged with, because why would you?
Yeah.
But the innovation comes is, what if you actually change the value it delivers? What if you make life insurance about life, not death?
Mm.
What if you use tech as a force for good and you gamify healthy behavior? So you improve your longevity and your health. That was the dream. And
Right.
that is what when I walked into that office of 20 people on, I think when I first met them was December 2019. That is what I believed could make change.
Yeah.
Now, like any good marketer, you want to know what the total addressable market is,
Sure.
which is trillions. So insurance, unlike mental health, which is an incredible market in itself, but it is billions. Insurance is trillions. So this is like a market that is ripe for disruption, that if you can hit it well, this is a cool growth journey
Right.
to go
Right.
on.
Yeah.
So that's
what hooked
what
you.
I believe. I mean, that's what I, now the mission and the vision, check. Product works. So they're driving Duolingo levels engagement, check,
Wow.
with the small customer base,
Yeah. Yeah.
but still, like, it's getting there. Then you got to say, do I like these founders? Do I like the people?
Yeah.
And then I spent a lot of time with them, and they all in their own right have their own unique flavor, but had an incredible rapport, and I would say immediate, very good connection with the founders. And that makes them, you can tell a lot by just first how you
Of
connect with
course. Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
for the first time.
Their background in this space.
Yeah.
How experienced were they in this space? Well,
That's important. Yeah.
yeah.
Because they got it. The credit is important. So some of the parts is always better. So you want, if you have multiple founders, you want to make sure they're each um, delivering together. It's powerful.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is like what was happening with this audience. So Sammy had come from, he was the founding CEO of Vitality Life.
Right.
Okay. And then he also had built an insurance business with his dad prior.
Right.
Deep understanding of insurance, deeply passionate about values, deeply passionate about insurance as a force for good, loved the industry, felt like it needed help.
Yeah.
Believed that there was a way to drive a better insurance experience. Not Vitality. What I love about Vitality, and you could say that they are a competitor, but they basically changed the game for thinking about insurance differently.
Definitely.
But while they did that, what they've missed out on is, how do you actually build a product that connects and resonates with the whole population?
Yeah.
Not just those that are already motivated, like myself, getting up at crazy times in the morning to go to the gym.
Yeah.
So what he believed was, okay, what do I need to do this?
That's so interesting, that insight there.
Yeah.
Essentially, that he
Yeah.
spotted that Vitality had missed a trick, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. How?
Well, that there was
A wider addressable market.
a wider addressable market and a wider way. And I think, a way to make, I guess if you think about, Sammy talks a lot about win-win, but win-win is relative to how people use your product. So if you have a win-win proposition, it doesn't mean anything unless the population is benefiting from your product, right? And so I think early on, he identified that that this was an opportunity, and he can tell the story much better. It has many other layers. It's a whole onion, YuLife. But there were two people critical for him, and one was Sam Fromson, who's now the COO and co-founder,
Right.
who is an incredible business mind and unbelievably strategic and organized and compassionate, and still a local rabbi in his town in Golders Green.
Wow.
Family man, so smart, and knew that Sam could make the business operation work.
Yeah.
And had experience with this. Then you needed who builds the tech.
Right.
So Josh Hart, who, brilliant mind, he had built some of the most successful gambling and retail apps, banking apps, and is a very enthusiastic gamer.
Okay.
Comes from a game development background and applies those theories to what he had built previously. Wanted to basically build something that was more had a positive benefit on society than a gambling app.
Yeah.
And Sammy got in touch, same community, and Josh built this incredible product. So the secret sauce in the product, and then I can talk about the marketing secret sauce, but the secret sauce in the product is all around how do you use gamification to drive healthy behavior through small, simple, everyday activities.
Right.
Like walking, like Sudoku, like meditating and biking.
Yeah.
And you reward the population for that. And those individuals then can convert what we call UCoin to actually then get Amazon vouchers. They can get their Tesco groceries, or like clean the ocean, plant trees.
Yeah.
And they go on their own personal journey, and it's all nudge and game theory. And then you get surges on a Monday morning when no one tends to walk. You say, we'll give you double the UCoin on a Monday morning. And then you go through levels and you earn more and then you win. Yeah. The byproduct of that is that you then get a happier, healthier employee base.
Brilliant.
There are knock-on
Win-win.
effects. Win-win. There's naturally like less people, less people are sick. We offer incredible access through our program to virtual GP and mental health support. And because people are using the app every day, they're getting access to those services easier, and you're driving up utilization. So that 2% I was talking about with LifeWorks is now going to 10, 15. So this is really positive. And then ultimately what the other win is for the insurance carrier. So what I didn't mention about YuLife is that we are essentially an InsurTech. So we partner with MetLife, we partner with Bupa, we deliver the whole front end experience, we deliver the gamification, we deliver the daily engagement. And these incredible best in class insurance carriers service the claims.
Amazing.
And do what they do best. So that's
what
where
a fantastic business model.
like the ecosystem comes together. Yeah.
So thank you for giving us that overview.
That was a bit of a long one.
I'm delighted we've got to you
we got
as well. So let's go back then to you went to the universe in Old Street.
Yeah.
25 people in the business at that point. 200 now, did you say? So what was the marketing role that took you from 25 to 300 people? And can you give us the
curvature?
I'd like to sort of understand what was your kind of marketing mission when you got in there when you got in there at that point. Hear about that, but I'm keen to hear where you are now and what's the next part.
The tomorrow. So first off the bat, when I got hired, I said, if I'm going to join this business, I'm going to say a wild card at the time, which is okay. I mean, I tell the guys that, like, I'm taking a chance.
Yeah.
On the underdog in it. I don't even think it's an 800-pound gorilla. I think it's like whatever the biggest gorilla that's ever existed in the world is this industry that we're operating in. And I said, I need to bring this one individual with me right away.
Right.
And this is Shay. So I brought on who was my marketing ops leader for LifeWorks.
Right.
Incredible data mind, very complimentary to me, and brought him with me. And from the very first task was getting what is now revenue operations within YuLife, the foundation of the CRM operating, which we use HubSpot, our data and segmentation, like where are we fishing? Who are these customers? Let's look at what we have. I think at the time there were maybe 40 customers. We're now 1,200 customers. So it's, and just really building just foundationally, that was critical first. It was the data capabilities and the tracking, and just like, let's just get our house in order.
Yeah.
With that, you start to then, so for me, what was very important early on was to establish credibility as a group life insurance provider.
Okay.
Yeah. So meaning like people need to take us seriously.
Yeah. And when you say establish credibility in whose eyes? In
the industries.
Yeah.
So this is like, I mean, we're in a market that we're selling directly to HR directors, but also to advisors.
Yeah. Okay.
There had been very few new entrants to the group life industry, which we call group risk in the benefit space. And so there will be natural skepticism. Yeah. So there was a real education and a moment of like becoming or conveying this, building this reputation as a trusted and credible insurance provider with the backing of these great carriers.
Yeah.
But also thinking about insurance differently. And that's a big education. But
it sounds like you're trying to educate the market as well, because you're coming in.
Yeah, you have to educate the market
in what is quite a traditional, shall we say,
doesn't want to change.
And you're saying we're going to shift the way that people actually think about insurance.
Yeah, this is hard.
Yeah.
This is not an easy task.
No.
Okay, so what you start to do is it's a multiplier effect. So you essentially become a aspirational startup in everything that you do. So everything in terms of from your PR strategy, it's two-pronged because you have an investor PR strategy. You have like a, let's build this. We had just been post Series A. You're
Yeah.
still building the dream.
Yeah.
So let's be this aspirational startup that everyone wants to work with, right? And that's like nice. So best in class energy. So when you're thinking about your HR tech stack, you're like, I want to go for, the Hi Bobs, the YuLife's, the Pleos, this
Yeah.
kind of thing. But you simultaneously need to convey that you're a safe pair of hands and you know what the heck you're talking about. And so there's a couple things that, whether that was through research, whether that was through education, a lot of education in the market, leveraging loads of social proof.
Right.
So the thing is that because we're developing a relationship with the employer and the employee through this experience, you can get a lot of great social proof.
Right. Right.
That is incredible marketing currency to then be amplified and used to ultimately drive demand.
Yeah.
So what we found out was that actually there are a lot of people, shockingly, in the market that are searching death in service.
Right.
But meaning like they're looking for life insurance benefits.
Right. Right.
But then what we were doing is that from an SME, from a smaller business perspective, we were able to service a lot of different needs from a wellness, like in an all-in-one benefit perspective. So driving a lot of like new demand in the market that started to build up a lot of,
Right.
good credibility. Advisors love that because they love driving new sales. So then it was, I would say the trajectory and the traction we were able to get from a direct marketing perspective was probably, it has been much faster than on a partner level because we've been able to kind of control that message and that narrative.
And part of me is thinking that once advisors cottoned onto it,
Yeah.
that it, in a way, kind of helps them and makes them look good. And
Yeah.
it's because they're working with you guys to innovate in the space as well. So that social proof. It's almost like going back to your guerrilla marketing style as well. It amplified the trajectory.
Yeah. And that's really, I mean, the win, when we talk about the win-win, it's also the win for the partners too.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to like educate them and prove to them that there's a saying, cost of doing nothing. So if they feel as though that they don't really need you, they're not going to work for you. But actually, if they feel as though you're going to help them be more successful, of course.
Yeah.
But what I also kind of say, and this goes to say like how when you're talking about ICP and when you're talking about, where do you go fishing? Not everyone is going to be ripe. Not everyone's going to be our friend.
No.
And that's okay.
There's other businesses for that.
There's other businesses for that. And if you just want a transactional black and white insurance product, go for it.
Yeah.
But I would say about 25% of the HR leaders out there will want to be our friend.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then I would say the same applies for the advisors. So we tend to, and I think this is for any new innovation, we tend to really lean into like, who are the change agents? Who are the people that are willing to take a chance? I just talked about this today because I had this incredible experience yesterday where I met the whole global team of Sodexo.
Right.
So Sodexo, 466,000 employees across the world. And the same month that I started at YuLife in early 2020, Sodexo took a chance on us.
Right.
And Sodexo also took YuLife on as the group life insurance provider. And what the result of that has been, interestingly, then yesterday I was able to meet the wider team, and this was very exciting because the UK leader Mark showcased YuLife and the initiative as a moment of pride for the whole, the whole global team, and that could ultimately lead to more opportunities, which is great. But Mark took a chance. While working in a big business like Sodexo, saw us as a lever to help his people and took a chance on us, as I did. Yeah.
That surely goes back to the values of the business from the founders, which they were putting in place, which made you back them, which also made Sodexo back them as well.
Yeah. And I think that when values are as good as how they're executed and delivered and talked about and conveyed and practiced. And that's been really critical, I think, through our whole growth journey, is that we still at our all hands every week reinforce the values.
Yeah.
There's a lot of the values are thread throughout everything that we do. The way that we work with customers, the interaction that everyone has with YuLife on an internal level and also external level is very consistent. And that's played very well for our brand.
Yeah.
And that's not something that you have to, buy as a campaign, a brand campaign. That just happens organically. And I talk about that multiplier effect. If you can get your founders and your teams and all your customers and everyone sort of pushing in your direction, the social cloud and the value of that elevates you so high that
Yeah.
that's really,
And that
that's really powerful.
once that momentum starts,
Mm.
it's like a snowball, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
it's
hard to
great. Well,
stop.
yeah, flywheel effect.
Where are you now with YuLife? What's
Yeah.
the momentum is building, has built?
Yeah.
You've been there 4 years?
You're close to 5
Oh,
and
yeah.
yeah, in the end of Feb. Yeah.
And so what have you been working on this year?
Yeah.
What does next year look like
Yeah.
for you?
I mean, I think the biggest change now, so, I talked about Shay and RevOps, but then you essentially need to think about bringing in talent across the different disciplines
Yeah.
and the functionalities. So you
You've
bring
got a
in those
team of
specialists.
23
Yeah.
now.
So you bring in these specialists, you bring in your demand gen and your design and your proposition and, your partner marketing, and you bring and you cultivate this team to then, you know, set your OKRs and your metrics and your goalposts and your
Mm.
North Stars and get them collaborating. And, there's a lot that's gone into that. I would say now where we are, because we've gone, startup, it's just like it's just fast growth, and you're cooking. And then, we're now in this kind of grow up where we need to be more methodical there. And when I say more, still take risks, but be very like, evolve the way that we look at the data, evolve the way that we look at how we're spending our time, um, and just continue to hone in on, what does the market need and how can we grow? Now, there's been evolution in the way that in what we sell too.
Hmm.
So I would say there was simplicity when you're just selling life insurance, a market that had not been touched for a long time. There's not a lot of loyalty and not a lot of brand recognition. We've now evolved. We're selling health insurance. Yeah. Health insurance is much more competitive. You have to flex different muscles in order to drive that demand and that growth. I lean into Bupa a lot, which is our partner, because of their brand heritage and legacy. I would say in general, as you get bigger, you become just more sophisticated in the way that you're targeting and attacking the
Yeah.
market.
Yeah.
We have now a lot more data. We have a lot more capabilities from a CRM perspective. We have a lot more tools. So it's keeping up with those tools,
Yeah.
making sure that we're very personalized in our approach and still very proactive. And I think a lot of too is when you start building out a team in specialist areas, you need to really focus on how you are educating them all to that North Star, so that you aren't just looking at, your lead numbers, which your designers might be like, I don't care, that the designers know what they're creating and how the efficacy of those ads relative to the bigger picture. And that empowers everyone. So I work now, I would say, a lot more on not just proposition and packaging, but how do you actually tell our cohesive marketing story so everyone feels very empowered together by that, rather than in those silos, which can oftentimes happen as you grow a team.
How do you find it on a personal level? Because you've come into YuLife as the marketing department. You've
Yeah.
now got a team of 23 people. Then your role within, whereas you were probably very much the doer and doing
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah.
is now that you're the leader.
Yeah.
There's a lot of management there. How have you found that personally as a marketer? And
Yeah.
how, I'm just
Yeah.
listening to your story, I keep going back to the word adrenaline in my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
where does that adrenaline now come
Like
from?
where do you get that? I mean, I I've had a lot of joy like building this team
Yeah.
and just hiring and finding the talent and empowering them. I think I'm always going to be someone who wants to kind of get into the weeds.
Yeah.
And I have learned to like let go
Yeah.
more and empower that.
So that's a skill in itself,
Um,
learning to let go and
oh man. Yeah,
trust other
yeah, yeah.
people
And
to,
trust.
yeah.
I would say through my random acts of new initiatives and a bit still experimentation.
Hmm.
So like, for example, this conference that I went to in Paris, the organizers have always wanted us to sponsor,
Right.
and I've always sent someone from the team.
Okay.
And we've never really, and they asked me again this year, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go because I'm going to see for myself.
Yeah.
And I think what I did, I mean, I hustled the crowd. So I did deploy some like sales energy, but I learned a lot by just being on the field. And I think
Yeah.
I'm still on the field. That's really important to me.
Yes. Yeah.
But I also think I trust my team to do a great job. What I do like encourage them to do is that I believe collaboration earlier, asking the questions, getting the feedback in an agile way is still really important to me.
Right. Right.
So what I say a lot is I don't love the big reveal. I don't need the big reveal. Like I'd rather be on the journey with you along the way and
Yeah.
help you.
Yeah.
Um, and because that's really where teamwork and your most effective results come into play
Yeah.
when you're really working together on
Interesting.
that.
So where is YuLife going then? What
Yeah.
is
What are we?
what are you focused on now? What does the
Yeah.
next 12 months look like?
So there's a lot of focus on the international
Mm.
growth. So I would say the UK, we're in grow up with the UK, we're in 0 to 1 in
Yeah.
Japan and the US.
Okay.
Right now, we've just deployed a team and built a small team in Japan with our partner there, Daiichi Life. So
Fabulous.
we're really excited about that. And interestingly, the app experience has gone down unbelievably well with Japanese culture, which is always
Wow.
how does it work? But I think the gamification and the style and the design has really resonated
Yeah.
incredibly. And we have wonderful supporters with Daiichi, who's also a key investor for YuLife.
Brilliant.
US, we are now in some very great conversations, and the path there is around building out some really deep carrier partnerships.
Right.
Because what we believe now is that we've earned the right to show the impact that we can make with an insurance carrier. And that will enable us to get the scale that we believe we can like help impact lives of
Yeah.
many more people. So whereas I would say in the UK, it was like stand on our own 2 feet, drive the demand, very, it's hard yards, but we've done it quite well, good product market fit. Now it's how do we take all those learnings and all that value we're driving to insurance and really find the right partners in the US to then, help impact in the same way
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. I'm just thinking back now. That sounds like you're gonna have your a lot of fun in the coming
Yeah.
12 months
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
Japan, and
Yeah.
you're gonna have your hands full as well. I'm intrigued if there's, when you look back on this journey, I don't know how often you get a chance to reflect, but you've had a
No,
phenomenal
it took
career.
longer than I was like, man, this is
But
should have tightened it up a bit, but no.
when you
Yeah.
think back, and is because it doesn't sound like you've taken many steps wrong along
Yeah.
the way, and I'm just
Yeah.
wondering if you look back and you think back to yourself when you were kind of in, you know,
What
carving out
would you
that
do?
territory with the yellow pages, if there is anything that you would
Yeah.
have said to yourself about, do this differently, or be bolder here, or
Not real. I operate in such a way that is so much about like embrace whether you call it eternal optimizer. So I learn a lot. I mean, there are mistakes that I've made where I would have done something differently.
right?
Like, I just worked on a very long process on a potential partnership and we didn't end up winning it. And I look back on that, but then it was really important for me to reflect to the team what would I have done differently, and it's very important to then say that's a learning,
Right.
right? You naturally hire some talent who you think are going to be great and it just doesn't work out and you learn from that and then that helps you. It's the building blocks. I it, I've taken so much from all those experiences that I've had, and when the moment has come where I feel like that chapter is that I need a new chapter, I've sort of done that.
Yeah.
Does that if that makes
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Um, so I think it's really been very much I've been quite consistent about the approach that I've taken to my roles and to my career, but then I'm always constantly wanted to evolve and continuously grow, I guess through. But it's not insurance is a tough industry.
You like
Yeah.
choosing tough industries as
You know,
well. There's a
this is
pattern there.
like there's a pattern. What would be I'm trying to think what's a not tough industry? What's an easy
Well,
industry?
I don't know.
What do we think?
Yeah.
It's hard. I guess they're all
Professional Formula One driver. That sounds
professional.
fun.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Lauren,
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining us today. It's been really good to sit and hear the
Yeah.
story and the journey that you've been on. I wish you all the success in your career and YuLife continue geographic expansion
Thank you.
globally. We'll be introducing YuLife to our HR director
Thank
immediately.
you. Nice. Nice. Can get you a good deal.
Yeah, that's been great. Thanks
Yeah,
so
and
much.
thank you. I mean, I think we don't always have time, don't often take the time to reflect on our journeys. So thank you for giving me the platform to do
Oh,
it,
it's my pleasure.
which is great.
I've learned a lot. Thank you. Thank you for listening today to The Growth Engine. If you enjoyed this episode and like to hear more, please do subscribe wherever you get your podcasts from and follow us on LinkedIn for regular updates or on hubagency.co.uk. Thank you and see you next time.